The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. Okay, usually before we start recording the show, Adam and I have a little chat. And I thought this was an interesting story you were telling me. Tell our listeners about your experience this weekend.
Yeah, it was a good experience for our players. We actually had little friendlies against Missouri and Wisconsin. We was playing a team, and I have a 2011 team, so these kids are basically 11 years old, and played against a team. One kid he looked like he was probably 17 or 18. He was probably 11, but just obviously a little bit taller, probably a little taller and bigger than everybody. But it was a good learning experience because the kids found out, hey, you're not going to get the ball off him because he's quite big.
Yeah.
So let's try and see if we can play around him. So, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I remember that as a coach of kids that age, thinking to myself, if he's shaving, there's no way he's 11. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's kind of the way it works these days. Some of these kids, they grow up fast, don't they?
They do. I'm noticing it more and more. Bigger, faster, stronger, a lot earlier, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, hey, it's time for Free Kicks, so let's get to it.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
So, huge news in the Premier League since we last spoke. It still hasn't fully shaken out as we record this on Tuesday, but the news broke last night. Manchester City Football Club accused of spending more than it was allowed to under Premier League financial rules, and they are going to be sanctioned. They broke the rules over 100 times in the last 10 years. And they're talking about all sorts of possibilities, including taking away their titles, including relegating them, and taking points away. Talk to me. This sort of thing happened a little bit to Chelsea a few years ago, but not to this extent.
No, I think what happened was basically historically what happened before UEFA kind of went back and they noticed that there was some serious breaches of the regulations, but it was overturned, and so they didn't actually have any sanctions. And there is, I believe, a statute of limitations, so they can't go back and accuse them again. But the Premier League is a little bit different. So obviously this has been an ongoing investigation, and obviously Man City's denying any financial wrongdoing, but it's going to be a little bit of a ongoing process to see exactly what took place. But there's a lot of shady stuff, you would think, that has been going on. And I think Man City is going to have to do their best to try to see if they can get out of this one. But again, with over 100 accusations, I would think there's maybe going to a few of those probably will stick. The severity, I mean, if you relegate a team like Man City, it's going to have huge ramifications. You take away trophies, again, huge ramifications. But it could happen. It could be happening.
Well, they've won the league 6 times since 2008 when the Abu Dhabi Royals bought the club.
Yeah.
And there's even a term for this. What do they call this? They call it sports washing, right?
Oh, interesting.
Have you heard that? Where it's kind of like laundering money through sports, and reviving their reputations. Same thing as happening with Newcastle. They're also what they call it, a Petro State-owned club. And Paris Saint-Germain is also one of these teams. And it turns out that there have been irregularities throughout the years for all of these clubs. And so they're definitely looking at it close. And it's a political matter as much as it is a financial and soccer matter.
That's right. And the interesting part, I already got some text messages from Manchester United fans and Liverpool fans. Just let me know if they do take the titles away. Manchester United wins 3 of them. Liverpool wins the other 3. So
yes.
just so you know, if it all works out, There you go. You got 3 championships you could have won.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, that's good. There was one other big story. So we'll be following this Manchester City story, obviously. You may even know more by the time this drops, but we couldn't not discuss it.
Sure.
The other matter is the American coach, Jesse Marsch, from Leeds, has been sacked, as they call it in England.
Yep, that's right.
That, I guess, is not too surprising, is it?
Yeah, tough run. Haven't won a game in the Premier League since November the 5th. So obviously there was a period of time where they weren't playing, of course. But when you look at the record and how things have gone, it was kind of a little bit of a formality when you look at how things have been going. The problem overall, and I was kind of looked at some people kind of doing the analysis, is they have a lot of good players. They have everybody in the spots I think that they need. They're outplaying teams, but they just can't get the results.
Right.
So ultimately, you're not going to fire the players.
Yeah.
You're going to end up firing the manager. And so it's kind of left on the manager. So, there's question marks on maybe the tactics and the changes and those types of things. Could have he done maybe some different things to maybe win some of the games? Possibly. But they've signed a bunch of American players, which is kind of ironic. You would have thought they would have stuck with him for at least a little bit longer, especially after just signing Wes McKennie, but wasn't meant to be.
And let's face it, I don't want to accuse anybody of racism or anything, but there is a anti-Yank vibe in the Premier League that is unmistakable, especially when it comes to coaches.
Yeah, I think it's been really tough for American coaches to make a big impression. Obviously, Bob Bradley's had a short role. I mean, Jesse Marsch lasted a little bit longer in the fact that he was there for a year, although they did give him a 3-year contract. But yeah, I think it's a tough one. I think it's still trying to get that recognition and giving the coaches the opportunity to be able to manage these big clubs. I think that's always important. And I think, the American managers are just still not quite there yet in terms of having the success that they possibly need to get that credibility back.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And now there's talk about, maybe hiring Jesse Marsch to be the national team coach.
Yeah, could be an interesting move. Obviously, he's got the credentials. He's coached, obviously, internationally. Could be a good move. I think there's always question marks about, the tactical side. He's obviously plays one particular way. It's very much in-your-face type of a play, which was what they had with Bielsa before. But it'd be interesting to see who Leeds go after as well. I've heard Bielsa again, actually, is being talked about maybe coming back.
That would not surprise me at all, actually.
Yeah. I don't know if that would happen, but there's a discussion there. Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, all the guys that just got fired, they all fall into got all sacked. They all get into that area too. But shame for Jesse Marsch, but I wish him the best of luck. I'm sure he'll land on his feet. He's a good enough manager. He'll find something.
Yes, and he has had success, wherever he went before this. So. It's just a bump in the road for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're hired to be fired. That's how they look at it.
Exactly. If you don't want to be fired, don't become a coach in the Premier League because that's just how it goes. Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about what's happening on the pitch.
Premier League football. What's happening on the pitch?
So there were some big upsets this past weekend. Huge upsets. And I think the biggest one, and nobody saw this coming, was Everton beat Arsenal, which is, the bottom team beating the top team. I don't think Everton was literally the bottom team, but they were close.
Yeah, down the bottom, still in the bottom 3. I mean, they moved up a spot, but Sean Dyche, the new manager, comes in, creates this new manager hype in terms of hopefully trying to get a result. And they go ahead and knock off the top team. It's amazing. It's amazing how this happens, and excited for Everton because now it gives them a little bit more hope potentially to stay up. I think obviously the fans are ecstatic. It's not going to be pretty how Sean Dyche plays in terms of what he does, but it's very effective. And at this point, they need to be effective to get the results. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. The other one, Man City, falls to Tottenham. Now, who knows how much of this behind-the-scenes stuff was already affecting them. I did see an interview of Pep after the game, and it didn't seem, well, you know what he didn't have? He didn't have any pep.
Yeah.
And it just looks like his heart isn't into it or something. I don't know. I could be projecting onto him, but that Man City team looked terrible against Tottenham.
Yeah, it was an interesting setup. I mean, he sat De Bruyne, if I remember. I know Phil Foden got sick. There's somebody else who was not playing. But yeah, it's just some interesting tactical changes. And I've been reading a lot about, Tottenham and Man City. It seems like Tottenham just has Manchester City's number in the Premier League.
Especially at Tottenham.
Yeah, especially at Tottenham. Yeah, exactly. So that's the biggest thing.
They've never scored a goal in that stadium.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
It really is. It really is. And obviously Harry Kane scored a bunch. So
yes.
It gives you an idea of how it is.
Yeah, we'll get to Harry Kane in a second here, but the other one that I wanted to talk about was Newcastle, who's been looking great. West Ham comes in. West Ham is limping into the game, basically, and they managed to get a draw.
Yeah, good result for West Ham on the road to try and go all the way up to Newcastle. I think it showed a little bit of fight from David Moyes' side to be able to get that. But still, they're struggling to score goals. That seems to be West Ham's big problem most of the season. And it's amazing how far Newcastle have come along. I'm looking at the statistics. Just a year and a half ago, they were the team that was being outplayed. Now, possession-wise, it's Newcastle getting all of the opportunities. I think they had 63% possession, which is a huge difference to where they was at just a year and a half ago.
Like night and day. They were just hanging on every game. They had like 20% possession.
Yeah. But that was the first goal they conceded in quite a while. So it was, they've been very solid in the back. And I think they even introduced the new signing there. Anthony Gordon came on as a substitute. I think he's going to obviously be, a big influence for them.
I watched Everton. That game. You know who really impresses me? And every time I see him, I think, because he's not really top of the mind when you talk about the Premier League, but Trippier, he is solid player.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of Eddie Howe's first signings. And everybody, I know we talked a little bit about it in our office and a few players, and he was one that I should have picked up on my fantasy team because he's always around the goals, whether he creates them, he's great at free kicks, he serves corner kicks in, and he's just a really solid player. Yeah, I totally agree. He's been by far probably the most consistent player in the last year for Newcastle.
Yeah, and he's not one of those free kick players that is stationary the rest of the game. He's no James Ward-Prowse. Because he's flying down the sidelines, he's crossing the ball in, he's dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's a player that can change games, just because of the things that he's able to create. So yeah, he's been a great signing for them.
All right, and then obviously we're talking about Tottenham. We were talking about Tottenham. Harry Kane, big day, sets a scoring record for Tottenham. Now there are only 3 players in the history of the Premier League that have scored 200 goals, and Harry Kane is one of them, and by far the youngest of the 3.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got 200 now. He's got quite a ways to catch Alan Shearer at 260. It's amazing how many goals Alan Shearer scored.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And to think he played on a Newcastle team that was pretty average.
He's going to do it, though. I think Harry Kane's going to do it.
I think it's obviously his legacy he wants to leave. I think he's certainly young enough, late 20s, early 30s, so he's going to be able to have enough time to do it. Obviously, now he's the all-time leading scorer at Tottenham Hotspur, so there's a legacy there he's left. And, I think he's going to get there. Rooney is the next one, 208.
Yep.
Once he beats Rooney, he'll be second. Mm-hmm.
And Tottenham is now only a point out of the Champions League spot. I think Newcastle has a game in hand, but, Tottenham's been very uneven this year, and somehow they're managing to stay up there.
Yeah, I mean, very inconsistent, Tottenham. You just don't know what to expect. But they've got 3 wins out of their last 5 games on a bit of a streak, which is good. They won their last 2. And, they've always going to find a way to score, especially with Harry Kane and Son up top. But maybe defensively they've been a bit lacking at times. But massive result against Manchester City. And, they're not that far out of the top 4. I mean, got a chance to get in there. There's no question.
Let's talk about 2 teams that are very far out of the top 4, and that would be Liverpool and Chelsea. My team and your team, and both of them stink right now. Neither of them scored a goal this past weekend. I'd like to share an email from our fashion critic and Aston Villa supporter Todd Schneider, who sent a note saying, "I'd just like to take a moment to welcome both Rick and Adam to mid-table. Hello, fellas," because he's, Aston Villa fan. I thought that was kind of a cheap shot, but not as cheap as the shot I got from my son, Sean, who called me up and said, "You know who the leading scorer for Liverpool is since the World Cup ended?" Do you know this?
No, I don't.
It's Wout Faes from Leicester City, who scored 2 own goals.
Wow.
Because no Liverpool player has scored even 2 goals since they came back from the World Cup.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, that tells you exactly where Liverpool is, right?
Yes.
Exactly it. I mean, thinking about, again, how Newcastle pushed up, Liverpool's done the exact opposite. They were challenging for 4 trophies last year.
Yeah, right. So that was just last year.
I know. Now they're challenging just to be in the top 10. So it's amazing how they dropped, and obviously injuries and differences, changes, players leaving, all kinds of stuff have had effects on it. But it's been a tough year for Liverpool and Chelsea. Just going through your general $500 million rebuild. That's basically what they're doing. I mean, they're just starting over. Oh yeah, let's get rid of some of these players. We'll bring in some new players. Actually, I shouldn't say get rid of some of these players, because they haven't gotten rid of anybody yet. They've still got 33 players that are first team players. So
I don't want to say anything to the investigators who just checked out Man City, but there's a few signs here that you might want to check out in London. But anyway, it's time to do a feature that we have not done in a while, and I call it this.
And now, explain that foreign tradition, please.
Okay, so this is something that I reserve for when I'm watching the game with British announcers. Every now and then, they say something or do something that I just do not understand, because I'm a Yank. And this is what I was watching one game this weekend. I heard one of the announcers say something that I've never heard before. He said, "That really is chalk and cheese."
Yes.
What in the world does that mean?
Interesting one. Similar to apples and oranges, in the fact that they're suggesting that they are 2 things that are very different from each other, and they have nothing in common.
Okay.
Although there's possibly there's some superficial possibilities of them being alike. So it's very confusing.
Because chalk and cheese both start with a CH?
Yes. And there's kind of the substance is somewhat similar, I guess you could say, but cheese is softer than obviously chalk and whatever it may be. But anyway, they're 2 opposites.
So it's apples and oranges, basically. Except, okay.
Basically the same meaning, yeah. So
okay.
I haven't heard that in quite a while. It's funny that you picked up on that, because I know I've said that before, but I I haven't heard it from commentators recently. So did you remember which game it was?
I think it was the Tottenham game. But I like it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I like whenever I hear these new ones. It's
yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Chalk and cheese. Yeah.
All right. Well, Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the Illinois soccer community since 1975 and has a strong history of credibility. Illinois Youth Soccer is a non-profit corporation, official state association, and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, and administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the U.S. Soccer Federation Olympic Development Program, and U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org.
Okay. Well, we have some more show for you, including your favorite segment.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
Okay, so last week it was a little tougher.
Very tough.
This one,
I don't know if does he even play in the Premier League? Who you picked last week?
Yes, he does.
Oh yeah.
This week's is a little bigger star than last week's.
Okay, all right, good.
He's 27 years old, so he's been around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up an Arsenal fan, and his hero is Thierry Henry. That's his hero. Because he's also a forward.
Gotcha.
All right, now this is why you should know who he is. He has played a handful of games for the English national team.
Okay.
In fact, in his first match, he scored on his first shot on target. Welcome to the national team, lad.
Okay. I think I might know it.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Is he currently playing with Newcastle?
No.
Wow.
His current Premier League team is a mid-table team at best.
Okay, well, it could be Liverpool or Chelsea, right? Is that what you're saying? I think you're going in that direction.
No, there's the third one that
I think I got you. Okay, so he's definitely playing with our good friend's favorite team potentially, right? Aston Villa
could be.
Okay.
His first name is the same as one of the comedy team Laurel and Hardy.
First name. Okay. And he's playing, and he's a striker? Okay, so
forward.
Forward, yeah. So obviously if he's playing as a forward, he's got to be scoring a bunch of goals, you would think. Trying to remember oh my goodness, what is his name?
They play, it's the Claret and Blue. They play in the same town that made Peaky Blinders famous.
Yes.
Great show, by the way.
Yeah, really good one. My goodness.
What are Laurel and Hardy's first names?
Well, that's a good question. That's what I'm thinking. Stan Laurel, Stan Laurel, Oliver Hardy. So okay. Well, there you go. So he doesn't go by Oliver.
No, he goes
by Ollie.
Yes.
So that's why So it's Ollie Watkins, obviously. Yes.
That's right.
Forward for Aston Villa. Yes.
That's
and also the name of our new cat, Oliver. One of our new cats.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Oliver and Owen. We've got the two cats. Yes.
The O's, the double O's. Yeah, it's an O and O.
The double O's. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so didn't realize. Yeah, he hasn't played as much for England. Maybe he played half a dozen times or so.
Yeah, I think he's only played 3 times with the national team. But he is a good player.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. He scored. Did he score on the weekend? I think he might have scored this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think he did.
Yeah. So he's starting to get back into a bit of form. I think he struggled a little bit under Steven Gerrard, but I think this might be a kind of a new chance for him to maybe bang a few goals in. So we'll see.
All right. It's time for this feature.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
So I was looking at the list of games. There's some good ones this weekend. What are you thinking for the? And now we can include through the weekend if you want, including like next. There's a game on Monday. There's a game next Wednesday.
Right. And I think that was kind of where I was leaning.
Okay.
Obviously, we've got some games coming up. I mean, Man City's got a quick turnaround. So I think there's 2 games we have to watch.
Yeah.
I think Monday's game, it's a derby, Liverpool versus Everton, which is completely different to what we thought was going to happen. We thought it was going to be an easy Liverpool win. Now it's going to be an easy Everton win.
A Merseyside derby.
Gotta love it. At Anfield, that should be a great atmosphere.
Yeah, if Liverpool loses that, I would actually predict they're going to.
Yeah, it could well happen. You're absolutely right. I mean, there's a good chance. And then you've got the game, I think really the game that everybody wants to watch. It's middle of the week, which is kind of the only tough thing about it, but everybody's going to be taking off work. Wednesday, 15th of February, next week, Arsenal at home against Manchester City. This could go a long way to determine who wins the table, who wins the league. And Man City have played a game in hand, but if they win that one, they'll only be 2 points behind, put a bit of pressure on Arsenal. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's face it, that it's the whole ball of wax for Man City. If they lose this game, it's really their last chance to take a dent out of Arsenal's total. So,
this would have been a big weekend. If they would have won, they would have beaten Tottenham. Man, this could have had even bigger ramifications. It could have been Man City top of the table by the end of the week.
But they also they play another game before that too. They play against Aston Villa.
Yeah, that's right. So they've got 2 games next week. So they're going to be busy playing back and forth. You're absolutely right. So they play Sunday and then they play Wednesday. Arsenal's Saturday and Wednesday. So we'll see. And Arsenal's got a tough game against Brentford. So that's not going to be easy. You know, Brentford's just flying. They find ways to get results. So those are the 2 big ones. And Man City's got an easy win against Aston Villa, so they'll be fine. And then, sorry, Todd. And then they just move forward, and then it's the big one on Wednesday. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, Free Kicks is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club. And we were talking about this before we started recording. We've got a big tournament coming up, Memorial Day. I'll be telling everybody about that as it approaches. It only happens like every decade or so. So we'll talk about that. We have to thank some people. Well, special thanks to our executive producer, Tony Lasana with opishows.com. Opie is hippo backwards, OPPIH shows.com. By the way, I don't think I said the green white address is greenwhitesoccer.org. We're distributed by Ed Silla with Radio Misfits. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again next week. I think we'll wait until after the big game. What do you think? After the Wednesday game?
Yeah, we may have to. That sounds like a plan.
All right. But we will be back again next week with a brand new episode of Free Kicks. The preceding was a presentation of Opie Productions. Find our other great shows wherever you find podcasts, including opishows.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?